All right, welcome to Max Effort Kitchen podcast. We are your hosts. This is Cornell. I am Matt. If you're watching this live, thank you. If you're not, thank you for listening. Cornell, hey, buddy, how you doing this weekend? How's it going?
I'm good. Still kind of in that recovery mode from the comp last weekend. But I'm good.
That's good. That's good. Oh boy. I've had a pretty good weekend, a little bit of coaching here and there, a little bit of kids sports, just a little bit of everything. We watched some movies yesterday. Yesterday was like last night we watched the newest Planet of the Apes and Godzilla, the newest Godzilla King Kong movie. It was like Monkey Central. Like it was fun though. It was fun. It was good. Those are good like family watches. We don't get like super excited for them. We're just like, hey, let's watch some movies. Of course, made some pizza because that's kind of my life right now because that's all I want to make in that thing.
Yep.
I told Alana, I said, okay, so we're using this thing every day until we get what I paid for it back, and then I'll be good. She's like, no, we're not.
We're not. She's like, you get free pizza right now. So
yeah, I know. But hey, I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. I entered into a contest this weekend, and I failed to mention this to you, Cornell, but you'll hear about it now. I entered into what's called the Favorite Chef Contest, and it starts with like an online presence where we do you get voted, and if you make it past the voting section, you get to go cook with a team of people, and if you make it past the cooking part, then you're like in the top 4, and the top 4 get to compete. It's all for like the James Beard Foundation, which they work with a lot of like different mental health stuff, but it's all to raise money for that. So I'm going to be making a post tomorrow because the voting opens tomorrow. And if anybody's had my food or, knows me, please get out there and vote because I would love to do this. It's a nationwide contest. It's going to be really cool. Just a lot of fun. I'm not good at plugging things. So
sure.
No,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So
how many times do you vote like every day, or is it like you get one vote and you're done?
I'm not really sure on that voting side of things. I'm going to look up some rules tonight and kind of give the breakdown when I put the post tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, shoot, if we can vote every day, you best believe. tick. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I've never really put myself out there for a contest for cooking. Mm-hmm. I've always done cooking because I love to do it. But I think this might be fun. And you get like your food featured in a magazine and stuff like that. So it'll be cool. It'll be a neat little platform to be on and just maybe make some fun relationships within the food world.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. So I'll post today and I sent it to you.
Yes.
Post on Instagram. And I don't know if we want to say whose post it is, but some people may have seen this, but the title of it was 3 reasons why I quit weightlifting. And so I pulled it up and I was like, oh, this is interesting because she's doing, it looks like 115 clean and jerk at a competition. I can't tell if it's the Masters one or not, but kind of looks like it. So I started reading her, the 3 reasons. And I think what Cornell and I are going to do is we're going to go through this and we're going to break it down and just be like, hey, talk about it because there's some validity to it. But I don't think it's a reason to quit. I'm just going to say that straight out. Like, I don't think I would quit, but, yeah, we'll talk to, we'll kind of recap it later, but let's talk about number 1. Number 1, her first reason was cost. I'll read the post here. I'm not good at reading out loud. I'm just going to put that out there. It says cost. When you get to the national level, trying to fight for spots on the podium or to make a team, having to travel to a lot of different meets around the country. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy traveling and seeing different states and different people, but it's not for free. Between flights, hotels, competition cost, The comps don't even include a free t-shirt. I think that's funny. Local meats have started to get more expensive, but at least you get a t-shirt. Luckily for now, it says luckily for the latter part of my career, I was grateful to have sponsors. Okay, so financial cost. So let's talk about this. She's not wrong, but in my opinion, when you're doing a sport where you are an amateur and you are making the decision to compete, I think you got to kind of factor in what it's going to cost. I also think the value you get out of what you're paying is far greater than what money can do. And for me, like if I didn't travel and if I didn't take it upon myself to buy plane tickets, get hotels, talk to people, like this podcast, you and I probably wouldn't be here. Because I mean, come on, like I'm not saying it's because of me, but I'm saying like you were like, hey, I have a competition down here. I was like, hey, that sounds awesome. Came down there, we already had a friendship, but the friendship bonded a little bit more. And that experience and this friendship and what we've done, like that values over money in any day of my life.
Oh, I totally agree with that one. I don't know if she's a master, but I'm assuming she's not.
Yeah, I know. By the look of her, I don't think
she's over 21 because there's pictures of her drinking.
Yeah.
And she's over 18 because there's pictures of her butt. So yep. I'm just going to stop there. But I agree with you, but I'm going to kind of look at it from the devil's advocate.
Cool.
If she's sponsored, trying to make teams, like winning national events, she's probably young. Doesn't have as much life experience. She's not, like, who knows? She could have been just out of college when it all started, and then it was trying to chase everything and how do I afford to go and do all of these things. I think that they're like when you're a master, you're probably later in your career. You have some extra spending money. It's a lot easier to do these things. Yeah. Plus, I don't know if Alana's listening, but I'll say it anyway.
She is.
Sometimes it's nice to get away from the household, to take a break from your own life, to get away. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff is great. But if you're feeling and being pressured by a coach who, I don't want to say that they are not telling you can do this, but kind of pushing a little harder than they realistically should by your capability, and like promising you the world. I could see how that would get hard, where it's like, I don't know if I can make rent this month, but I need to go to this competition because I might go up in the rankings.
Right.
And I could see how that would get real expensive. And expensive could also mean maybe she was going to school and had 2 jobs and didn't want to have 2 jobs. So sometimes you can afford to not do all that other stuff and it's fine. But but I think that I have, being like the age I'm at, where I've been able to afford to go on these trips, I go on as many as I can. Like, I love to have any reason to get out of where I live and go experience new places and see friends, and then you get to lift weights too. So I'm with you on that. And as you were talking, you did notice that, like, she talked about travel teams and stuff like that. I don't think there's many travel teams for masters, so you're probably right. She is younger. I do like what she said about the freak t-shirt. Like, that's one thing that I went to, like, the last big meet we went to, like, I paid $45 for a t-shirt. I'm like, come on, just give me a free t-shirt that says USA Masters. It doesn't have to be like fancy or anything, but I agree with her on that part. I think the sponsors aspect, I don't know any lifters that are sponsored. And what is the sponsorship giving you? Like, discounts on clothes? Are they paying for travel? Like,
apparently they're not paying for travel here because she's talking about financial cost. And
Sure.
and you're right. I think that if I was younger, this would be a very, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I can remember like from my 20s to my mid 30s, like, I was constantly hustling and I was constantly trying to make more money and build career and do all this stuff. And like, how do I fit in weightlifting? And I get it. I just, I think once you're in it and once you experience it, like that experience is so, it's so valuable. And man, I can tell you, I mean, you saw this, on our little text train, how we were just texting pictures, which is funny, grown men texting pictures. But like, that's what I put on my walls. I put on my walls, like pictures of like all the competitions that I go to and the pictures that I take, and because it's memories. And like, I don't know about you, Cornell, but I think about this a lot, probably too much than the normal person, which is like, we're getting older. We got to take advantage of life as we get it. And like, I just don't want to like let anything go. And just doing the most stuff I can with this sport is what my, objective is, all things considered, right?
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, and the Alana thing, like her and I talk about that a lot. Like we need personal time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point where I'm like, kicking her out of the house, like go on a weekend trip with your friends. I will book it for you. Go. And she's like, yeah, no.
I read something and it said your husband's favorite vacation is your dream vacation that you go on without him.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I don't know. I dig it. I like being a single parent for a weekend. I think it's fun, but I also like to get away and have, time where I can just like, be myself and be the bro, right? The gym bro or whatever, hang out with some people and get experiences. I have yet, and this is a me problem, 100% me problem. I have yet to be able to intertwine the two, which meaning travel with my family to a competition. I don't know why, just nervous about it, just what it is.
So that is one of the parts that my wife really does like about me weightlifting is it gives us a reason to go places.
Yeah.
But I've only brought my kids to one competition, like one traveling one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't terrible. I mean, I didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It'll happen. I'll make it happen one of these days. I know it will. Okay. Let's move on to, let's see, number 2. Did you have anything else to say about the cost?
I think we got it.
Okay. Number 2.
Want me to read this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I gotta bring it up. Oh, I didn't even know which one it was. So
yeah.
Training in your garage alone sucks, especially when you're used to training in a packed gym with your buds where the atmosphere was so motivating and fun. It really puts a damper on my mindset towards training, especially on the days where my body was hurting too much to lift an empty barbell off the floor.
Oh, bro.
Do you relate with this?
I relate with this 100%. And I was just, we talked about it pre-show. And, first I want to say, because I do lift with some people, like I lived with Damon. And this is no knock on Damon because he has a life. And I'm not like saying you need to be in the gym with me. No, I'm saying that I just need to be around people. And last week I strung together probably the worst training days I've had in a long time. And I just needed to be around people and social, and just sometimes it cuts through this like deep dive into what you're doing and this mental, like, I gotta make this lift. Like it, if you have that social, lighthearted friends joking around, or at least someone to look at me and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, like that aspect of having another person is so key. And like I said in the beginning, I'm not saying that I'm like holding other people accountable because I need other people. I'm holding myself accountable, and I'm a little frustrated about it. But there might be some changes coming with that. So and maybe that's how life works, right? You find the problem and you build a solution. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was in your situation, but I had probably more. No offense, Damon. I had people coming more consistently, but it was because we didn't have a gym.
Right.
So when you have people who you're used to lifting with 4 or 5 days a week, all of a sudden there's no gym, but you have all the stuff, you become the gym.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
in fact, before you go forward, I think I have Damon's let me use his blocks. I just have his blocks in here, and I'm like, come use your blocks. No, but anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I started out at a place where I had no idea. I wasn't even trying to do weightlifting, and then it was shown to me.
Yeah.
Ended up going from being the newbie lifter to becoming the newbie coach. Thankfully I had Nick, because we have strengths in two different areas, but we both have good strengths and worked well together.
Yeah.
And then we ended up going to a different gym, and then we were not so much new coaches anymore. And then all of a sudden the lockdowns happened, and like a couple months before the lockdowns happened, I want to say like 5 months before, I was just trying to like change it up a little bit and actually have someone that I didn't know that I would want to be held accountable by. Like, I didn't want to even though it wasn't somebody I didn't know and I wasn't going to get to know, I wanted to be held accountable by someone who wasn't a friend.
Yep.
And then I joined an online team, and honestly, it was perfect timing, because 5 months later, everything shut down. And then I was still able to be a part of that team. I got to know you. And then kind of for me, once stuff opened back up, I had a great opportunity to be at the Strength Tank. And that's why I kind of immediately went back there, because I'm like, I need more people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much that I just needed more people in to lift with. But I needed people that I was going to be competing against, just like, or pushing each other against, like in the gym, like the people who were lifting in the garage. Like I could outlift them. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes sense. Like like, okay. So when, a couple of years ago, when I moved to this neighborhood, Eric used to live 5 streets down the road. And I was just like, and we would lift 3 to 4 days a week. He was great at snatch, and he won't mind me saying this, and shit at clean and jerk. I was really good at clean and jerk, and I was shit at snatch. But like when we lifted together, something came about where we were just like, had this unspoken like competition, sometimes spoken, but most of the time unspoken competition of like, no, you're not beating me right now. Like, and that level of competition with, even when you're just one person, like it's motivating. It helps you lift better. I believe it does.
Yeah, especially when you're both chasing each other in different routes. That's kind of how Nick and I were for forever, where he could always out clean and jerk so much more than me. And then I could snatch a little more than him. Yeah. And then I kept chasing his clean and jerk. He kept chasing my snatch. And I think both of our numbers went up dramatically because of that.
It just happens. It's crazy. And even when so a couple weeks ago, Donald came out and we went to Rose City, me, him, and Damon. I mean, even lifting there, and it was really cool because Rose City has a situation where I think Strength Inc. has this too, but you don't have to go during class hours. So they send you a code, you open the door, you get the whole gym to yourself. It's really cool. So we did that. And I took off half a day. We went over there, we hung out, we lifted, we talked, and it was just walked away from that being fuck, this is what I miss. Yeah. I've been in my garage and I don't even like, I'm not going to sit there and play like, oh, the weather, I can't open my garage door. No, that doesn't matter. It's just having that social aspect of it. Just miss it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see where she's coming from, but at the same time, it's not going to make me quit.
No, sorry. Exactly. I totally meant when I read it, I was like, oh, this isn't a reason to quit. This is a reason to not be in your garage alone.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Again, like, and just like I said, like there's a problem. We identify the problem and we create a solution. The solution is to get out of your damn garage.
Yeah.
So yeah. And that's a thing. So number three, it is, this one's funny. I started wanting a life without a strict schedule. I was craving freedom and a schedule of 3 to 4 hours of long training sessions that was taking up my day. I was ready to travel for fun and gain back my social life I sacrificed for so long in this sport. Oh boy. You want to take this one first?
I don't even know. Just because she's a woman.
Oh, bro. So, oh man.
I feel like, to me, this goes along with my assumption from other things, just that she's young. She could have been doing this like either in college or just out of college, or and then all of a sudden I'm gonna give you the scenario I think it was. I don't know if it was, but how I would see this being valid. She started lifting senior year in high school, then continued to lift through college, was lifting.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a team like East Tennessee State has a really big weightlifting team that's like very good. I don't know if she was lifting in one of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Then she finishes college and now she's in a garage.
Yeah.
So now she's in the garage alone. She's also has freedom because she's not in college anymore. Maybe she has a remote job that she doesn't have to go to work, and maybe she just gained too much freedom, and then other things in life made her want to do this.
Yeah, I look at it. I like that you said that, because I think I think her age has a lot to do with it. Because there's something that about this sport that does bring a social aspect. You know, it brings friends to you. It brings partners. It brings community. And so, but if you don't know how to harvest that, like, and really nurture it, like, you know, of course you're going to feel alone. The life without a strict schedule, like, come on, man. I am the exact opposite. I want that strict schedule. It's like I need that strict schedule to be productive and to be able to fit it in. If I didn't have the strict schedule, and if it was just like loosey goosey or whatever you want to train, no, it wouldn't happen as much, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you have to lift at least 3 to 4 days a week, like that's motivation enough right there to, like, I have to do this. I take a week off. It's just going to take a step back every time I take that week off. If I don't do it, if I don't get it in, it's going to take a step back. And then you add in our age gap, which as we get older, we lose muscle. And it's like, we have to lift. We have to keep that schedule. And I like that about this sport.
Yeah. I also, she says that she goes on saying something about that she's happy she still gets to do the movements in CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit's like the most scheduled out, like,
right? They dictate their class times. I mean,
yeah, I mean it's an hour.
Yeah.
There's warm up, WOD, and cool down. There's maybe 3 minutes to get strong, and then 30 minutes of cardio.
Yeah, exactly.
I always laugh at that. We did the strength cycle. We did 3 sets of 2 reps for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Good old CrossFit. I don't know.
Yeah. And
I-
then it also could be, again, this is going to be the assumption that she's young.
Yeah.
Maybe just got out of school. Maybe she had to live that a weightlifter's life where you're not staying out till 2, 3 in the morning. You're not going to the parties and drinking heavily because you have training the next day. Maybe that's some of the stuff that she was like, I want to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's wrong. I think that it's just different priorities in people's lives.
Yeah, I mean and you and I see this. The people who do both, which is go out, have fun, drink, party, and then try to come and lift the next day. They're definitely not making teams. They're most likely not going to podium. And and that may be a strict thing to say, but at the same point, like, there is a considerable amount of effort that you do need to put into the sport to be able to make a team or podium. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. I have lifted 4 days a week at the very least for the past 6 years. Mm-hmm. I might have taken a week or two off within those years. And I can count my medals. You know what I mean? Like I know I've medaled and I've podiumed at local meets. I just podiumed for the very first time 6 years in at a national meet, and that was a 3rd place. And the way I look at that is like, hey, I walked away with a medal. Come on now, that is a freaking win for me. But I don't drink. I'm definitely not going out. I'm in bed by like 11:30 at night, or asleep by 11:30 at night. I have a career. Like I don't do any of that, but I have a very strict lifting schedule, and it takes a lot. And I think people forget about that it's like, you don't just go out and freaking podium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, there's too many maybes.
Yeah.
Like I could see why someone would want to get out of the sport. Like if you look at, say, Harrison Morris. Yeah. He started at like 10 or 12 or something. Mm-hmm. Went to the Olympics at like 18. I don't remember how he did, but he went to the Olympics, and he was, I remember a weightlifting house talking about him coming out for his 3rd attempt, and I think Lu Xiaojun was sitting next to him getting ready to go out for his 1st. Yeah. And they were just cool. Like, that's cool. That shows how good this kid actually is. But he went to the Olympics, and he was like, I'm done. I'm ready to go to school. I'm ready to start my life. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh, he'll be back. He'll be back. And I haven't heard from him since the Olympics.
Yeah, no, I think that's people talk about going out at the top, and maybe that was going out at his top, and that's, it's respectable. You put in the time to get to the damn Olympics. Like, get out, go do you, like, go do you, and go have a good life and enjoy yourself. And you're still young, because when you are young, that's when you have the opportunity to do that, when you got to dig in. And that's maybe what she's talking about, is like, I haven't really looked her up to see what her real name is, based off of her Instagram handle. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to put it completely out there, but guessing she's young. I don't know. She does go on to say how she feels blessed and lucky that she got to be in the sport and all the time and effort and all that stuff. So there is a little of that, but then she ends it with weightlifting I'll always have weightlifting in my heart, and I'm glad I'll be able to get to do the movements in CrossFit, like you were saying. Yeah. So yeah, just something that I found was really interesting, because you're scrolling through Instagram, you're not seeing why people want to quit. You're always seeing like, oh, the mental toughness, and I'm so strong, and I'm much better than you, and all that. Like, nah, I thought that was a very interesting post, and no shame towards it. I think it's just good to talk about, good topics to talk about.
This isn't really what we were talking about, but cool. You just made a comment about going out and people saying like, "Oh, I'm mentally stronger than you, and I'm this and I'm that." I think that there was a weightlifting house one a long time ago where they're talking about like what inspired you to do this, and they talked a little bit about something that I don't remember exactly the phrasing they had, but like never being satisfied and never thinking you're good enough compared to the people who are like, I want to go 140, 175. And then they hit those in competition. And then they're like, all right, I'm closing this chapter of my life. I feel like someone who can do that and just like, I achieved what I wanted to achieve. That's someone who's so much more mentally tough than someone who is always chasing the unicorn.
Yeah. I got to agree with you on that, because when you put something like numbers that you want to hit out there, like that's a big thing. And if you don't hit them, not only do you have the shame of like, maybe I didn't work hard enough. Maybe I didn't do the right things. Maybe I wasn't, strict enough with my schedule, but you're putting it out there. And so it's like, you're kind of being held accountable at that point, and it takes a lot. And, you got numbers you want to hit, dude. Like I've always thought of it as when you do put it out there, that's another piece of accountability. And that takes mental toughness to achieve when you've vocalized it and publicized this. I'm going to hit these numbers.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that just I've seen so many people. We're a part of a very negative team with, and they would constantly just be like, "Oh, they were soft. They weren't hard enough. They weren't a man. That's why they left this team. This team was too hard. This team was too like basically their insecurities were just being thrown out there, and generally people left because they realized this wasn't the right place."
Yeah. And I think you said that really well.
Yeah. So,
well, let's see. We got some other things here we can talk about. Like, I really liked what you put about, and this is kind of going on the subject that we're talking about here, which is kind of like the mental game, but the after competition blues. It's a thing. It's a real thing. It's a real, wah, wah, wah. It's a real thing. And I'm sure there's like 50% of it is the chemicals that your body produces and goes through. And while you're doing the competition, and then that kind of like that letdown, that come down of all that. And then it's like, I know, I think I've told you, but I have it every time. Like, how far? Okay, what's my next shit? I don't know what I want to do next. And then and then you get down in that little rabbit hole, and you always come back from it, and you always find, and it always comes from a win of some sort on the platform, or maybe it's a win, like a breakthrough with a training partner or a coach, or you're like, or you find just a new avenue. But yeah, man, I don't know about how long it lasts for you, but it's about 2 weeks for me.
All right. So I'm halfway through this.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, by my schedule, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. I think one of the things I hated coaches asking more than anything was like, as you're like cleaning up your stuff in the back room, they're like, all right, what are we doing next? I'm like, what? And I think that comment was kind of what got me to where I was like, I want to just not do anything right now.
Yeah. 100%, man. Like,
And
give space.
It's like,
right?
We just worked potentially. I know that the roughest one for me was actually Worlds.
Yeah.
Cause I heard someone say this the other day, and I just kind of like slumped my head a little bit. I think it was Matt Blankenship. No, who? It was a podcast I listened to.
Okay.
He won some competition, but basically I didn't win Worlds because it was basically me against one other guy.
Yeah.
Actually, no, there were a bunch of other people, but the total was so different.
Right.
I felt that I didn't win Worlds. My competitor lost.
Jeez.
So, because he didn't total.
Okay.
So if he would have totaled, I would have actually had to win.
Right. Right.
So it was like a freaking mental head case for like 4 months.
Holy crap. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around that as we speak. Like that's I didn't wow.
I didn't win, he just lost.
He just lost. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. And then it's like that whole, do I have to do this again? Do I have to compete again at this competition in a year to try to prove to myself that I beat him? Like, because there's people who they bomb out all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, technically you beat them because their attempts weren't necessarily right.
On paper.
But at the same time, like you don't, it was something that even like, I still think about it, even though I'm like, no, I did win. Because it wasn't just me and one other person. It would be something different, I think, if it was like 2 people in your weight and age bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like if like you're guaranteed a podium.
Yeah, exactly.
But there were other people in my session, so I still did win. But the one person that I was like thinking I was going to have to duke it out with, just didn't total. So
yeah, that's a tough one because you're right. It's like, okay, do I have to go out and I have to prove myself yet again? This is how I think about that, is because a competition is held on a specific day. You prepped up just for that day and you go out and you perform on that day. And if you don't perform on that day and you bomb out, then you lost. But if you come out there and you go out and you hit numbers and you feel good and you podium because your other person because of that, the other person bombing out is their own thing. And that's, I think, where this sport becomes very individualistic, even though you are competing against them. And it takes the glorification out of competition. It makes you feel like I don't mean to offend anybody here, but like you're a gymnast. You're out there competing against yourself. You're out there. And so there's this idea that like, the only way I can win is if I beat these people. But on paper, which is really, I mean, in a very technical version, on paper is what counts. And on paper, this person couldn't even compete. You went out there and you competed, and that's why you won.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. Is like, and I've been to, come on, I'm a master at 102, and I've been to plenty of competitions where, like the one you came up for last year, I was hurt. I probably had the ugliest, lightest clean and jerk I've ever had in competition, and I still podiumed. And it was because of my age group and my weight class, and I don't look at that as like, I look at that as a win because I still finished a competition being injured. And that's my win right there. And this is just my mentality about it, because I think it's because I entered the sport so late. I think I would have had a different mentality if I entered it at 20. My mentality right now would be a lot different. I don't know. Just food for thought on that one.
Yeah. No, it's, even if it's, well, another part, like you're winning in life, knowing that your age and thickness, other people aren't out there even doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like, I'm blown away. I think right about now is where the age really starts kicking in fast for people who kind of lived a rougher life compared to the other route. Yeah. And I'm seeing people that I'm like, oh, you're probably like 50. And I find out they're like a little younger than me, or they're like, like they're the same age as me, like to the month. And I'm like, do I look like that?
Yeah, I don't think you look like that. I remember when we went down there last year, you picked us up from the airport and you're like, hey, I got to stop by one of my customers' house. And so we're sitting in the car and you get out of the car and you kind of walk around it. And I looked at Eric and I go, he's a goddamn gorilla. Dude, you don't look like your age. And that's not me sucking up to you. I'm just saying, like, if I were to look at you, I'd probably guess that you were like 38, 39. So
Okay,
that makes you feel any better. But,
cool.
but like, you know, because we talk and we see each other over polo all the time. But then when you get next to it, like in person, it's just so much different, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh God, oh geez. And I think this sport may probably make our minds feel a lot older than our bodies do.
Okay.
And
I don't know. In my brain, my mind is real young still.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think that's also why I don't have that much fear when it comes to weightlifting. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could probably do that.
Yeah. So when I made that polo on Friday, I had just waved down because I hit 90 kilos and it was a struggle bus. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wave down and go back up. So I waved down and I had 50 kilos on the bar. And it was like pull full snatch. So snatch, pull plus snatch. I do a snatch pull. I go back down. I do my snatch. I go for my snatch and it hits me so hard in the forehead, knocks me into the wall. I throw the bar and I was livid. I was so mad. And nobody was here. And so nobody heard it. And, but like, yeah, dude, it's just, you get to a point when you're, I don't even know where I'm going with that story, but you know, it's like,
No,
yeah.
it's a good story.
I luckily didn't make myself bleed. There's a nice little bump up there, but hey, everybody has shit days. And the beautiful thing about it, and I was just telling a friend this the other day, beautiful thing about life is that we all get to freaking wake up the next morning and that sun is coming up. So
Yeah.
seems like a good place to end. 42 minutes. Great conversation today. I really like this one. Yeah, get out there and follow us. Cornell, you got anything you want to sign off with?
I don't think so. I
All
don't
right.
really care.
Go out there, lift some weights, and eat some good food. And thank you, everybody, for listening. So have a great night. Adios.
Bye.